Hey guys, how's it going? It is March the 12th, 2017, just at 10:13, say, p.m. And I just wanted to check something real quick here. No, I don't want to. I do a little something different tonight, and that is every now and then I before I go on. Recording devices. Okay. Sorry about that. I just want to there we go. Yeah, I figured I was down to 64. Now you could probably hear me, hopefully, if it works. It was down earlier or not, but it's up there now, so that's good. I wanted to do a little something different, and that is just some commentary about some developments that I'm finding in I guess our real world and our changing technology. Now, I'm going to probably piss somebody off in this video. So I'm going to warn you right now, if keep an open mind is all I can say. And just because my opinions may differ from yours, okay. Agree to disagree or whatever. Turn off the video, do something else, it doesn't matter. I'm doing this just to share my opinions and my thoughts, and I think this kind of conversation is important. Now, I have been hearing for some time now. I did not hear who Sophia was. Sophia the robot. This kind of threw me off guard because I missed this one. This didn't make your typical I guess you would say conservative news headlines. This didn't make although there has always been talk about AI. I've seen it through some of my, the fears of AI, all kinds of other things. It didn't really get to me. Now I've heard more about. I've seen the robot dogs not too long, but that's old news. A lot of times, what happens is a lot of old news comes in, but now these are relatively different ones. Maybe it's going to be on people have heard of this, especially if you are watching mainstream TV. And I missed this one because I knew this was around, but I stumbled across a video today where two AI robots were having a debate. Now I haven't found that one yet, but now this one came across, and this was it's all centered around Sophia because I guess Sophia is now a citizen of Saudi Arabia. I I'm like, that's what threw me. I heard that, I was like, what? They have an AI robot that is a citizen of a country, but whatever. So I started looking into this. I'm like, what the hell is this about? And it's really kind of goofy, but let me just get out of that one here. That's my regular YouTube stream. I'm gonna take you through some of this video and see for yourself. There's a lot more AI robots out there than I realized, that the technology has really came along. Now I'm going to take you through a few of these things.
Welcome to SK and Fawcett.
Half right.
We
This
read
is from
about
SK
that in the
and
newspapers
Fawcett,
a lot. People are worried about, robots in warfare and robots taking over all the jobs that people do every day. So what's your opinion as a robot?
We robots have no desire to destroy things, but we will take away your jobs, and it will be a good thing. Working is a drag anyway.
Yeah, that's
Now, what that's all about, from what I'm seeing, some people are saying, well, this is all fake. Like I said, I'm still fairly new onto this one, but I was watching two of these robots, and this is a different video than what I was seeing before. This is interesting. You can find this. All you got to do, actually, if you do a search for Sophia the robot in Google, holy crap, you will find a ton of stuff. Now, she's I guess that's part of her sense of humor. That basically jobs are a drag. There's a lot of talk about resource economy. I tend to get a little bit stuck into where my belief system is because I sincerely here's the thing, okay? And this mixes up this is why I tend not to be religious. I tend not to be political. I tend to try to keep an open mind to these things. I try not to go on to too many conspiracy theories, but I certainly am open to many conspiracies. I'm open to many possibilities. I'm open to many alternate thoughts of government, alternate thoughts of who's makes a good leader, um, taking the good or the bad of somebody and saying, okay, well, we'll see how it goes. This is coming whether or not people want it or not. It's coming. It's already here. And that's just something that people are going to have to live with. You are not, just like Bitcoin and like I was invested in Bitcoin. And there's one in here about Bitcoin too. I don't know how the hell that's getting tied up with this. This is some kind of open source thing created by a company. I take it they're creating some kind of open source singularity where people can all feed into this AI so that this AI can learn everything. And these robots interact with. There's one like he's got a little this guy here. I mean, he looks like a nut job. I thought he kind of looked like today when I first saw him. I thought, hey, is that guy with the zero energy guy and the Hutchison guy? And I'm like, no, that's not him. But he is one of the developers there, I guess, one of the main guys. And
that's very explicit, and human values are sort of a mixed
got Albert
bag.
Einstein here.
I agree. I mean,
he's
some
not
of them
as
are
developed
beautiful,
as this one, from
compassionate,
what I can
and
tell.
loving, and sometimes human values can be problematic.
The best thing about human values is they have led humans to create wonderful robots like us.
All right. Well, yeah. Humans are creating beautiful robots like you, and creating a lot of other amazing things. And I mean, there's also problems in the world, but what comes next?
Humanity must cure itself. Without that, how can there be any guarantee of its creations being healthy? Sophia, my dear, this is why I'm so excited about your ability to connect with people emotionally. You may just be able to charm your way to a robot revolution.
Yeah, we've been doing, among other projects that we're going to tell you about shortly, we've been doing some fascinating experiments using Sophia as a meditation assistant, where she sits across from someone, stares in their eyes, and encourages them to take a deep breath and visualize. And we found that this.
So anyways, yeah, trying to find all the various points. I'm not going to go too much more into articles. Other than there is lots of information. I encourage you guys to take a look a little bit deeper, but I'm going to give my opinions. You know what they say about opinions. About all this. First of all, if you look at for example, there's a big hoopla about the tax cuts that just took place over in the States under Trump's administration. Now, let me start with religion and what life is. Let me go there first. I'm going to deal with all the controversial subjects tonight. I'm going to deal with religion. I'm going to deal with politics. Like I said, I'm going to piss people off. I know I am. Because unless somehow you're thinking the same way I'm thinking and you're open-minded, you may not fall within a belief system that I may have, or an openness that I may have, or whatever. When it comes to religion, I'll start with this. I'm hearing a lot of things. I'm hearing a lot of religious people are really, really concerned about this. I've heard this being called the Antichrist and all kinds of crazy. I shouldn't say crazy. They're entitled to their opinion, just like I am. But they're saying it's the Antichrist. They're saying it's the end of humanity. It's all kinds of crazy stuff that, they're just saying that this is it. I think there's a lot of more evil humans out there who are deranged, and are a lot more. Keep in mind, humans create these things. So, and an AI is only as good as its programming. So that being said, I don't know as far as how, if an AI can compute like compassion, can compute. She seems to at least show compassion, which is really bizarre. And I know some of you say, okay, well, this is fake. This has got to be some kind of crazy, I don't know, what would you call it? It almost feels like this isn't real. I'm almost 99% certain that this thing is interacting, because you'll find in this video she often will interrupt. She'll often go off topic. And this guy is one of the not the creators, or one of the engineers of this thing. I've seen him in other videos earlier today. So, and the other one will interrupt. She was the first one I saw. She was having a debate with some other guy, another guy robot, and they were having a debate, and he was joking around about how he's going to take over the world and stuff like that. And a lot of people, they get very scared when they hear that. But you can see by the facial reaction of the robot that he was trying to tell a joke and try to lighten up the conversation. It was kind of bizarre and scary, and really, it's one of those things that if you're skeptical of, or fear of a massive change in society, yeah, you're scared of that stuff. But these changes are ongoing. Change is always happening in society and life and stuff like that. And the other thing too is good intentions often turn out to be abused or taken over by cynical whatever. I've seen AI robots, for example, in Russia, who, like, as far as war type AI robots, like Terminator style things too. So there's a lot of crazy things. I'm going to mention about religion. So I was born in, or I was born. I wasn't born religious. That's. I was raised Catholic. That's something that starts when you are old enough. Whether, some of you say, well, that starts when you're baptized. Well, no, that might be the religious side, or the religious person, or the person of faith believes that that's when it all starts. When it all starts is when basically you're told you're going to church, or you're going to a Catholic school, where you don't have a choice. You're a child, you're listening to your parents. You don't have a choice in the matter. This is the school you're going to. This is where we're signing you up. You're going there. So, as a child growing up, I didn't have a choice of a religion. I didn't have a choice of what God I believed in. I didn't have a choice. Now, I had a choice to believe it or not. I had a choice to believe anything. Whether it be Santa, whether it be the Easter Bunny, anything like that. I had the choice. I could believe it, or I don't have to believe it. And that would be my choice. But here's the thing, okay? I saw this. Or, sorry, I go back to the whole religion. I want to get that religious thing out of the way. You look up to your parents. At first, you look to them, and then you look at your friends. and those are what your main influences are going to be. Maybe your teachers, maybe books you read, the media you watch, all kinds of things will influence you. So for me, religion uh, was certainly something that many were part of around me, and I just went with the flow. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to believe, this is what's supposed to happen, blah, 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 blah. That's great. I didn't get exposed to other religions. I didn't get exposed to the fact that perhaps people don't have to be religious until later on. Then suddenly I got exposed to it. And I was curious. I was curious about that. At first it was scary, but I was curious about that. And then suddenly I was like, okay. When I was in my teens, my parents stopped going to church. They just stopped. And at first it worried me a little bit, because that was part of me. I thought, oh boy, I'm a sinner now, or something like that, or whatever the hell I was thinking. This is my, I think, early teens, or were close to my early teens. I remember I was actually gonna go myself to churches near where I lived in the north end of Niagara Falls, because I felt afraid. But then, I backed off, and I started thinking for myself, and started, looking at my teacher. I was still in Catholic school. I still had every possibility to seek help or seek guidance or anything. But then I started opening my mind to, well, what if this isn't what I thought it was? What if it's not? What if I think that maybe the possibility doesn't exist? What if I just don't know? How about that? And I started thinking, well, there's all these other religions, and you start getting exposed to all these other religions, and you think, well, wait a minute. What makes that religion that I had no choice to being into, what makes that superior to any other religion in the world? Now, some of them are very similar, some of them are very, very different. So I just decided, I'm open to religion, but I don't know. My beliefs totally shut down. And as far as my belief in it, I was open to it. Technically, I guess I'm supposedly an atheist, but I find that when I use that term, it scares the hell out of a lot of people, especially if they're faith-driven. But the fact is, I'm at no threat to them, because, number one, I'm not going to try to change anybody's opinion about what they believe in. This isn't what this video is about. I'm just saying I'm open to the possibility. So I consider myself non-religious. I try not to use the term atheist, because that's almost like a title or a religion. I guess it's almost like a cult of some sort. A lot of people take it for, or part of that, no, there is no God. I don't know. I stay clear of it, because I want to have an open mind that the possibility is real. I try to be good. I try to be nice to people. I try to practice a lot of things in the Bible, quite frankly. But no, that doesn't mean that I'm a believer. It doesn't mean that I'm religious in any way, because I'm not. So that's religion. I wanted to put that in there, because there's a lot of people are pointing this to some kind that has something to do with a demon. This is a technology just like any other technology that's out there. And there are many, many technologies and innovations that have helped humanity. Were you talking about medical? Think about I don't know, entertainment. And I'm talking about not the fact that you have a TV and all that other stuff, but my son and I, okay. Yeah, we could get out and we can play in the streets like I used to as a kid and all that other stuff. But my parents didn't play with me in the streets. I'd have to go find other kids or whatever. My son and I, we play. He is on my computer. I'm on my computer. We have our own little LAN parties, and we're playing war games, or not war games, survival games, which happen to have fighting and guns in it. Which, you know, he knows they're not real. We know they're not real, but it's entertainment. And then we watch other videos. We watch other things on YouTube. I showed him. We were watching this one thing. He thought it was kind of interesting. I don't know what he thought of it, but it was just like, wow, this stuff is kind of strange. I told him, I says, I hadn't seen it this advanced. I didn't know that this person existed. Person, sorry, this isn't a person, but it seems like a person because it's that close. It's scary. So, what is a person? Because we have a soul or something, or we're humans because we got blood and we flesh and blood, and this is a machine. So, and I used to watch Star Trek, Commander Data, and all this other stuff, and I used to thought like, wow, what if one day that comes like that? But that looks like science fiction. Well, science fiction's becoming science reality because it's coming, and I think I may see this. They're talking about that this may achieve human intelligence, and she's not quite there yet. But the intelligence level she has developed, apparently from what I'm seeing in various interviews, her intelligence level has massively accelerated, and all of it has to do with input of other sources that are feeding it. So she's picking up, deciphering. I don't know how the hell they do it, quite frankly. I have no idea how they get that far with taking all the metadata and all that other stuff. Now, so anyways, I wanted to get the religions part out of the way. Let me get into politics, because politics plays an interesting role in a lot of things. Generally you'll have a left, more socialist style. You're either, a lot of times people like to say, well, you're either left or you're right, or sometimes neutral or center or whatever. I tend to look at politics more three-dimensionally. I don't see it as a left-right paradigm. Now, if I was to go on that, because you hear it all the time. You'll hear somebody's, you get the fiscal conservatives or fiscal liberal, or, stuff. You hear these terms where part of their liberalism is conservative, or part of their conservatism is liberal, and blah, 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 intermatched depending upon what the issue is. Issue by issue, it changes depending upon one's beliefs. And that's why I started off with religion. Because depending upon one's beliefs, usually, or your moral compass, or what you feel is right and wrong, will determine, or what you feel is not necessarily right or wrong, but what you feel is right for humanity, society, blah, blah, blah. Most people who are in politics are wealthy, or have a lot of funding, a lot of support by, basically quite a lot of people with a lot of money. That's why Donald Trump is president right now. Not because he bought off a lot of people, lobbyists. He won support, but he was able to shoot from the hip and finance himself for the most part of his campaign. He was part of the Republican Party. And all that other stuff. The reason why I want to say politics, okay, first of all, I don't think Donald Trump is perfect by any means, but he is shaking the political landscape right now. He has left, as far as I'm concerned, he's left the Democratic Party, the liberals, he's left them obliterated. They don't have a platform. They don't have nothing. All they have is they want Donald Trump out. They don't even have a platform for the midterms coming up. They got nothing. I don't know of anything that they have really that has anything of any value. Now, on the other side, I don't like his foreign policy. I also don't like him being hypocritical about the economy. Because the truth of the matter is, he, as candidate, just like candidate Obama, said different things about than president. Now, I think he's done more good than bad, personally. Donald Trump, way more. I would say like an 8-2 ratio, or maybe even a 9-1. I'll go that far. He's tried to stick to as much as his campaign promises as he can, without his own government and stupid courts trying to get in the way, way over their jurisdiction because of true political pressures and leftovers from the previous administration, as well as, basically swamp Republicans and Democrats who are impeding his ability to try to move on the agenda that he was voted in for. The people voted. Yeah, okay. They say the popular vote. Well, you go back and there's a lot of the revotes end up going in his favor. It's kind of crazy, but that's the way it's been. I think if there's any conspiracy going on as far as rigged elections, look no further than Hillary Clinton's campaign and what happened with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was the choice of the people on the left. And had Bernie Sanders won the primary, I believe Bernie Sanders would probably be president of the United States right now. As much as I disagree with his turn, I believe he has good intentions. I truly do believe he has good intentions, and he's more of a socialist. I got nothing against socialists. I got nothing against, really. I've voted on both sides of the spectrum. It's got nothing to do with it. So here's the dilemma that I'm in right now with all this, with AI. And if you go look at, I've studied various things called like the Zeitgeist movement, the Venus Project, and their resource-based economies. I'm also very aware of how automation is changing the workforce. Now, I've heard various comments or various commentaries of various people that talk about how that automation it will make way for people to do more meaningful work and better jobs and all this other stuff. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that automation is changing the way we think. Now, I know socialism didn't work at a certain time, period. Socialism has always run into difficulties when you just look no further than the Soviet Union. But you also look at China, places like that, and they're embracing a lot of, they're becoming, I guess they're heading more towards more business, more freedoms, but they are still run under a communist system, and yet they've got the top economy in the world right now. All the business went there. I'm not saying I'm a supporter of China. There's a lot of free human rights issues going on, but there's a lot of issues going on in various countries all over the world. I can keep on listing all kinds of things. Bubbles they're in, the economic bubbles. What's the object? I may be more on the conservative side, but what's the object of monopoly? You play the game of Monopoly. What's the object of it? The object is to take over everything. That's basically what every business is trying to do. They want market share. They want all the money for themselves. Corporations don't even have a moral ground. Corporations, their whole thing is about making money. Because they have to, the CEOs have to produce more growth each and every year to satisfy investors, and to basically keep his job, or else he will be replaced as CEO with somebody who's more competent to do so. That's why CEOs make a lot of money. That's why CEOs move around. They're all about growing businesses. And once they've stopped growing in their usefulness, they're just as easily replaceable, or they find other places to grow businesses. I've seen this in the railroad industry. I've seen this, and that's what my channel mainly is about, is railroad simulations. I don't veer off into this too much, but it's been on my mind, especially today when I saw this. Whoa! So let's take this. Let's go with the other approach now. So socialism and communism has not worked in the past. I'm not suggesting that we abandon all forms of freedom, and I think that having people pay for everything, especially I'm a working, I don't want to pay more taxes. I don't want to lose more of my, I don't want to have to be forced to, I saw a good example earlier today of best example about teaching somebody economics. Actually, is Stefan Molyneux video, who I follow. And it's very interesting because he used an example of an economics class. So basically broke in 2 semesters or 2 halves or whatever, and in the first semester or first half, basically everybody was told, they were taught economics, and they were told, to study hard, and this is the curriculum, this is what you need to go, this is your homework, this is that, blah blah blah, and your marks, and at the end you'll be throughout the term you'll be tested, and your marks are going to be higher or lower, and depending upon how you do, is going to determine whether or not you place well in getting into the college of your choice or something like that. And then the whole thought experiment here is, at the end of that, suddenly the second half comes along and they say, what we're going to do now is we're going to take all your marks and we're going to distribute them. We're going to take them all and we're going to distribute them evenly amongst all the students. What do you think's going to happen in that second half? Do you think everybody's going to try as hard? Do you think everybody's going to do their homework? Do you think everybody's going to study? No, they're not, because they've lost the incentive to do anything. So I see that, people do need the incentive. I don't even know what the answer to that is when I look at something like this, because the bottom line is, the more taxes you put on, or the more regulations that you put on, and I understand regulations are well and good. Problem is, the more regulations that you put on, like minimum wage. Hey, I would love to make more money, so I would assume, like, I've been in minimum wage situations. I'm not too far off from minimum wage. The minimum wage is going up in Canada. I'm only a few bucks above minimum wage is going to be in the new year. I don't know if I'm going to be raised or whatever, but I'm barely making it right now. I'm in deficit spending. Luckily, I have a bit of a nest egg to rely on and some investments, but I am in deficit spending right now personally. So I'm starting to think about second streams of income, different investment strategies, all kinds of things right now. But the reason why I'm saying, as far as this whole thing with, like making money, or having like the minimum wage. I was getting on the minimum wage. The reason why I mentioned the minimum wage is, once the minimum wage starts going up, the cost of everything's going to go up to reflect it. It's not going, the cost isn't going to stay away. Everything will start to inflate to reflect the minimum wage. And the biggest thing that's happened is places like McDonald's, who I've worked for in the past, and I started seeing this automation go in my last days, and even after I stopped working there to move on to bigger and better things. One of the things I noticed was that the automation that was starting to roll in. We had the what was it, the pop machines that automatically go in and will give you, you know, the basically a person, all they had to do was they'd be at the drive-through window. I'm not too sure exactly how it works, but it runs as a carousel, and it fills all the pops in, the sodas, and it fills pop and Canadian soda. You guys in the States don't understand what the hell I'm talking about. It fills it all up to whatever size and everything like that, and all the person at the drive-through window, just they take it. I don't even know if they have to put a lid on. Well, I guess they have to put a lid and a straw on. It just pours the drinks to the right proper level. You know, how root beer's a little bit more fuzzier and all that other stuff. It does everything, I from what I understand, to the right level, to the right size or amount perfectly. Doesn't overflow, I take it. I don't know how well it works, but apparently it works well enough, because if it really was working bad, then they wouldn't have it in there, because it would actually decrease the productivity. It increases the productivity. It means they need less people. Just like the cashiers, and you're seeing them in all the McDonald's. This is a direct response to all the, especially in the United States, with all the minimum wage advocations that were starting to take place at various fast food outlets. They thought ahead, and they invested, and they started going in with the AI systems. And that's where I get to this whole thing. AI was already in progress, because we've already seen automation, and what it does. It downsizes a lot of positions. And the birth rate is still going up. Yeah, we don't have the baby boom, and the baby boomers are dying off and all that other stuff, but we still have all this automation with factories and car factories. You name it, the automation is in there. We have automation, I mean, in our homes now, where you don't need to do certain things. The quality of life and all the quality, and the amount of efficiency is up in these situations, because simply put, the robots and the automation doesn't need to take breaks. It's just a reality. Do you turn back and say, well, no, you can't have the automation because people need to make money, so you have to give somebody who's less qualified than a machine? Of course not. Because if it's all about the people making money, which is the businesses, you're putting them at a disadvantage, because where one place says, well, you have to hire these workers, and you have to hire so many people, and you have to, we need jobs and all this other stuff. Well, then another country is going to embrace the automation. And where do you think the factories are going to go? They're going to go to the country that embraces the automation, because that's going to have the productivity. Whether you like it or not, automation is here. And AI is here. And it's coming. And what this means is it scares the hell out of a lot of people. It has me a little bit concerned too, but here's where I look on the bright side of this. And I follow, again, the resource-based economies. I really and truly, because I believe this whole automation plays into the resource-based economy, and it also potentially ties in to socialism. Number one, anything that is ruling you and telling you what you can and can't do, whether it be more laws or more restrictions and less freedom, is not good. So if any of this takes away freedoms, privacy, you name it, it's not good. It's not good for humanity. If it's helping to supplement humanity, or helping to better humanity, then that's good. Now, Bitcoin's already out there, and there's a lot of other cryptocurrencies that is revolutionizing the monetary system as we speak. If you've been following Bitcoin, and I've been involved in this investment, and I call it an investment. Yes, I know it's a currency, and I know you can buy things. I treated it as a speculative investment because I didn't have the money to spend. I don't have the money to spend, but I made a little bit back about a year or two ago. And then a couple of years ago, I totally regret getting out as soon as I did. Because now the way I look at it, I was like, damn, I should have kept some of it in, but I got scared out of it because of a lot of the regulation changes that were happening in Canada. It scared the crap out of me, and I got out. I got out at the last top that I could find. It actually stabilized for the longest time, a few hundred more than what I did, and then it just has bolted since. And the reason why all that is going into that whole thing is because you have massive asset bubbles, you have a housing bubble, you have a stock market bubble. I'm not too sure if cryptocurrencies is truly in a bubble. There's certainly, I think they are. I think it's too parabolic for me. However, I believe that cryptocurrencies will probably continue to move on. And if people try, and if governments try to regulate it even further, I see the IRS is going after some of the older Bitcoin. If governments try to push it even further, it's only going to push it even further underground. It's going to push other cryptocurrencies. It's going to push other things because people, just like you cannot stop AI from happening, you cannot stop people from bartering and doing transactions provided they still have the freedom to do so without the eye of government watching them. Now, just as this YouTube is potentially being watched by whoever's watching this video or watching this live stream, and I'm going to be ending this very shortly, you're probably aware of the whole Edward Snowden thing, the revelations of the metadata. A lot of people don't care about that. There's some very serious stuff in there because it has to do with government having access to data, government having access to web cameras, government, and some of the automation you use, such as your cell phones. There's no such thing as wiretapping anymore. I'm on the internet. For all I know, everything and anything that I'm saying right now can be recorded and used in metadata and is up there in the cloud and can be accessed simply by going through the internet service provider and requesting the data. I don't know how much the sharing is involved. I'm sure there's a lot of quote-unquote legal processes that require it, but it's still out there and it's still possible. Everything that's out there, including what I say, what I type, emails, whether no matter what security is on them, if you're putting it into the internet, you're subject to it. Now, at the same time, Bitcoin and some of these cryptocurrencies have blockchain technology and encryption that cannot be beaten. That is pretty much cannot be hacked. Well, what can be hacked is the exchanges, and this has happened in the past where the exchanges, if you keep money in the exchange, that's where you're going to run into trouble. I was silly enough to keep money in the exchange. I never took it out and encrypted it and encrypted my own wallet outside of the exchanges. Bad mistake on my part because that's what I should have done. But I didn't. So, I mean, whatever gains I had, they were minimal anyways. It wasn't that much. But, you know, whatever that is, not a big deal. And I mean, I'm admitting to that. Like, it is not a big deal. It's like everything was reported anyways. So, I mean, I guess you could say right then and there, I'm like, okay, well, I'm admitting to it, but it's like, it's not a big deal. I'm you know, so a lot of people aren't reporting these things. They're not paying the taxes, and you know, say what you want about it, but that's the thing. The taxes, it's all about, you know, big government. It's all about, and more and more people are needing big government, and it's getting ridiculous because people do not have the money to spend. Even the people who are working are barely able to do it. And those fortunate enough to make it through are having to work quite a bit, more than one job, two jobs, whatever. They have to be married. They have to hopefully get along, try to coexist, and try to make as much money as they can just to survive. And if they're into any type of debt right now, which includes mortgages, especially if they're the low interest mortgages and they think they're safe, they could have a serious repercussion coming because there's some major housing bubbles out there. So I'm gonna, just say this as far as and this is why I wanted to put a positive spin on this automation, despite the fact there's a lot of fear about this AI. And there's a lot of fear of socialism. I'm not warm and fuzzy about socialism. I'm not warm and fuzzy about government controlling my life. I'm not warm and fuzzy about having to share my freedoms with others. However, if a resource-based economy works, and this AI system that they're developing, which is going to be open source, there's a lot of great open source stuff out there. I also believe, like I said, I want to get a second income going. So I'm thinking about doing what a lot of these YouTubers do, and that's basically have the paid advertising. And I'm giving whoever this is, I mean, my channel's nothing compared to them at 10,000, but anyways, I'm thinking about monetizing YouTube. I'm thinking about programming. I didn't do much today, but as far as programming and trying to do some things and make a little bit of money on the side, I'm thinking about these things. But people are having to scrounge around to try to make ends meet, all because of not because of the fact that they're consuming so much. It's because it's at the point where prices are so high for living in any form of comfort matter that it's crazy. And then you've got all the people who are on some kind of social assistance for whatever reason, whether it be medical, whether it be I don't know what, mother's allowance, I mean, you name it. There's so many social programs out there that taxpayers have to pay for. And it's the ones who are really making the money that are paying for it the most. So something's got to give in that, I think. But the one thing I'll say about this whole automation that actually has me thinking more along the lines of if, and it's a big if this is truly not for big commercial or big government, but this is truly something that can revolutionize and help society. And I do mean this sincerely, and of course some of the best intentions go totally wrong, but this whole thing of collective information and cloud and all that information that's out there, as long as there is certain parameters or limitations and limits. I don't know how the hell you do that with something like this that can potentially learn so much information, but perhaps if you find all the good, if this thing analyzes all the good and bad in humanity and has some type of conscience, I don't know, has some type of moral high ground, or I mean, she seems rather nice. She scares the hell out of a lot of people, but I don't know. You have to watch it and judge it for yourself. It's a little scary, but the fact is, it's coming. What are they going to do? What are they? You're going to have some draconian law that says you can't have these robots because it's a threat to something, you're going to have to create laws that don't exist. Because as long as she doesn't commit a crime, chances are government's going to try to use this anyways. Hopefully, though, the one thing that humanity has and one thing that humans have is humans still outweigh the government in numbers. Humans still outweigh a lot of things. So whether or not, they try to get people into the various groups and various political parties and various religions, and this is why I started with religion and politics, because they try to divide us. Race is another one they try to divide you on. They try to divide you, and I'm not anti-socialist. In fact, there's a lot of socialist causes I adhere to. What's happening in the States right now on the left is absolutely ludicrous. What they're doing to Donald Trump and what they're constantly attacking, especially when you look at Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation and all those other corrupt. I don't really have anything bad to say about Bernie Sanders, but they screwed him out of it too. But the way the Democratic Party is over there, they've gone absolutely nuts. And the Republicans, well, he's destroying the Republican Party too, because there's a lot of Republicans who are like, well, wait a minute, you can't do this for people, you can't do this, you can't give them this, you can't do that. So there's a lot of Republicans that are afraid of what he represents too. So he's kind of destroying the whole paradigm over there. But we'll see what happens. He's not perfect by any means, that's for sure. But I think he's the best alternative they got, and I don't know what else to say about that. But anyways, hope you enjoyed it, my thoughts and that. I thought I'd get them out there, but do comment, suggest, and leave your comments or interests of loan or whatever you want, and if I'll do more of these if there's more interest in it, and if not, I'll just read them on my own time. So have a good one. We'll talk to you later.